What if peace wasn't something distant, but something we practice together? Presented by New Thought Media Network, this is the Peace Dialogues with Reverend Christy Semple. Hear from today's peace influencers. Discover new perspectives on growing peace. Explore practical spirituality you can live every day. Because peace isn't just an idea, it's a way of being. Find out how you can become a peace influencer too. The Peace Dialogues with Reverend Christy Semple. Thursdays at 9 a.m. Mountain Time. Only on New Thought Media Network. And now, here's Rev Christy.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are joining from. And we're grateful you are joining. I had a couple of technical things that happen sometimes, and here we are, and we're so glad to be with you. So welcome to Peace Dialogues, where we inspire new awareness that the garden of peace is growing in our world, and the seeds of peace are being planted and nurtured by people just like you and me every day through practical spirituality in real life. So each week we hear from a peace influencer who's involved in activities that are inspiring peace in our world every day. We're going to learn a new perspective on what it really means to grow peace and how we can be peace influencers too. And so I'm your host, Reverend Christy Semple, a fellow gardener with you in the garden of peace in our world. We're going to have a peace dialogue here that will open us up to have new eyes to see that peace really is happening right here and right now. And I invite you to join me in welcoming our guest today, Reverend Ifesinachi Naana. Welcome. Oh, I'm so grateful. That you are here. I'm so grateful. And we are going to have a beautiful peace dialogue here. We have so many things, wonderful things that we can talk about. I'll give some background here so you get an appreciation of where her story along the way that's brought Reverend Naana here and all the beautiful things that she is doing close by where she is and out in the world related to peace. And so Reverend Naana worked in corporate America in technical sales and in the mortgage industry, and she worked with people helping the dreamers and the marginalized navigate the biases and prejudices in the mortgage industry to achieve their goals of home ownership. So there she was working with people, and she was inspired. She called it her sacred work, and this empowering the dreamers and marginalized to navigate these mazes. So there she had that idea of empowering people. And then she went on to have a 10-year tour of chaplaincy at 2 different local hospitals and working with an evolving spirituality that included Buddhism and Islam and several of the more conventional Christian practices. So here, that multi-faith, that appreciation, she was building this. So then empowering people and multi-faith appreciation. And then she discovered religious science starting in June 2010, her first visit to a Center for Spiritual Living, and completed practitioner training in 2014 and then ministerial training in 2025 with the Holmes Institute and the CSL School of Leadership, Spiritual Leadership. And she's been a member at the Spiritual Living Center in Atlanta, facilitating visioning sessions and teaching assistant and leading the care ministry. And now, along with that, she's very busy, and we are grateful for her work with the Global Outreach, CSL Global Outreach. She's working with, oh my goodness, and we'll be hearing more about this, her work in Africa, which she's doing and looks forward to continue doing. Again, that idea of empowering people. And I've had the wonderful opportunity to be in the Global Outreach Committee with her and prayer partner. And every discussion I have with her is inspiring and uplifting. And we'll hear more from her starting now about her beautiful ideas of self-awareness and empowerment and more related to peace. And so I'm going to turn this over to her, and I'll start with a key idea I've heard her say, and I'll have her take it from there, about making sure you have room in your heart for peace. That's something wise I have heard her say. And so I'll turn that over to Reverend Naana to share her wisdom and her ideas and experiences, because it's applying this wisdom, right, for herself and others.
Thank you so much. I mean, I'm like, I'd like to beat that lady.
Yeah.
Thank you so very much. And,
Mhm.
and yes, one of the things that I grew into was an awareness that peace isn't something out there that I have to work. We are born as peace. Peace is the God presence. So it's not anything that we have to look for out there. It's already within. And we just have to be it. We get very caught up a lot of times in doing the human doing thing, and we're human beings. So
Mhm.
so it's to be it. It's already within us. It is
Mhm.
absolutely just touching and nudging us to just let
Mhm.
it come through.
Mhm.
Because the
Mhm.
voice of peace, it's that small, still voice.
Mhm.
It's that being still so that you can hear, you can know the I am. And
Mhm.
those are the places where peace, the sources. Because sometimes I think that the stillness is something that we have difficulty dealing with. We're in a culture where you have to be moving, you have to be doing, you have to be running, you've got to be, and people kind of like wear the badge of I'm multitasking and I have so much.
Mhm.
And truthfully, we weren't really designed to be multitaskers. And
Ah.
so
Mhm.
end up creating a lot of stress in our being. We are
Oh.
just running around, and I think that you look at living a long time, which I certainly have. The body is like trying to draw my attention to the natural way of being. You know,
Ah.
I, I
Mhm.
I'm retired, and that is a blessing. But
Mhm.
it
Mhm.
also means that I feel more comfortable saying no, thank you.
Ah. Mhm.
I feel more comfortable saying no, thank you. And someone once told me that no is a complete sentence. So,
Oh, yeah.
you know,
Mhm.
so I have
Mhm.
to listen. I have to listen within. I have to follow my intuition. We're all developing relationships with our intuition. Hopefully, we're trusting it more
Ooh,
and more.
very good.
Hopefully, we're
That's
trusting
good.
it more and more. That's the small, still voice. But that's
Mhm.
also, it is beneath all of the life activity that is going on. So you kind of have to slow down. You have to pay attention. You've got to listen.
Mhm.
You've got to trust. You have to have the faith. I was in a session a couple of nights ago, and the question was, what do you do when what you've treated for hasn't shown up?
Mhm.
It appears to not be working.
Appears to not be working.
And,
Mhm.
and I say appears because
Mhm.
we have a lot of false evidence that appears real.
Mhm.
And basically that, it's been shared with me that's one of the acronyms for fear. So anytime we're experiencing fear and worry and concern, we're not, it draws our attention to whose are you, who or what is in your life, and you can begin to realign yourself with the things that are true, not necessarily the things that are going on. And so
Mhm.
in
Mm.
peace, we see a lot of areas where it does not appear to be working, but we also say that there is nowhere that the creator is not. So even in
Mhm.
those situations,
Mhm.
spirit is still there. And peace is not necessarily the absence of strife and struggle, but it is the alignment that we have with spirit so that we know these things have come to pass. Let them go. Okay.
Mhm.
Let them go.
Oh,
You know,
so nice. I'm so glad you're saying that because sometimes we think it's something that's really obvious or big, if you will, that hits us like the spiritual 2x4, if you will.
mhm.
But it's so good that you're saying that. It is that tuning in
So
and being aware that peace can be a new understanding about something. It
mhm.
can be a dialogue or a conversation with somebody that we had a challenge with having a conversation before. And so it doesn't have to be something huge, but it's that tuning in. I'm so glad that you said that and
Really,
practicing that. Mm-hmm.
that song that said, "Let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me." That's
Mm-hmm.
where it starts. And for us to be able to align with that, embody it, to know that we know that we know, and
Mm-hmm.
you're so that you're in fact sometimes because you are at peace, you don't necessarily see the things out there in the same way.
Mm-hmm.
So you're I find that at the human level, we get very scared. We get very, we don't know. But at the spiritual level, how could we not know? We are one with the divine, who is all knowing,
Mm-hmm.
all seeing, everywhere present. And so that is really where I think the peace portion comes in, because we need, the peace has to be there in our presence, in our being, in our minds, so that we
Mm-hmm.
can then choose and create from that peace.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever it is that we have in our minds
Mm-hmm.
to be the soil in which we plant the seeds. And
Very good.
it's like, I see myself as a seed planter. I have had the opportunity to share things and people look at me like I'm nuts.
Mm-hmm.
And then they come back sometimes, I didn't understand what you meant when you said, but now I get it. That seed
Mm-hmm.
is germinating. And so I don't mind people not getting me, because I got me. I know me. Do stuff with me and spirit, and come out the other end, and come out into places that were even far more beautiful than I
Oh,
imagined it.
mm-hmm.
And that's what spirit does. We
Mm-hmm.
are more than we ever asked for or even knew existed.
Oh, far more, and that's very good.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
I had one of a spiritual leader who used to say, "This or something better. This or something
Mm-hmm.
more."
Mm-hmm.
And so in making establishing that as the truth, then that also means, just like how we plant the seed. If you have planted good seeds, you're going to have good harvest. And you don't go digging back up the seed to see what it's doing. You let that seed stay in the darkness, stay in the wet, and that seed is sending the roots down. It sends roots down into the depth of the earth
Mm-hmm.
before it sends anything up. up
Oh, and
the
I'm
earth.
so glad you said that. And that reminds me of the song. Amy Steinberg sings, "Love is at the root of who I am." And so planting those seeds are going down in
Yes.
the soil, the love that is present. And I'm so glad. And each day we can be a seed planter. And even if somebody says, "Oh, I don't have a green thumb," we're talking about the within, and
Mm.
planting the seed within, and then inspiring the activities without there. Each day we
Yeah.
can be planting seeds of peace. And
Yeah.
I'll mm-hmm.
But, sometimes, okay, I'm just going to say it. I'm not a singer. Okay. It's like, if they gave me a tune to carry in a bucket, I would still not do it. And I hear other people sing, and their voices are beautiful and inspiring and just awe invoking. That's not my area of, of where my seeds are within me.
Mm-hmm.
I have other skills. And so I celebrate those skills. I love what other people can do, but I celebrate what I can do, because
There
each
you
one
go.
of us is called to bring our gifts. And we
Mm-hmm.
do not have the exact same gift,
Yes.
you know. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like, be you, do you.
Oh, that's right. And there we go. Can you still hear me?
I can hear you, but
All right. Well, we'll continue the conversation. We have another little technical glitch here. So I am present.
okay, I'm present here too. But
Mhm.
yeah, it's and peace is a natural way of being. All of the other stuff, I was seeing something that talked about just how our bodies are in a constant flight or fight mode. And so then it's really
Mhm.
not surprising
Mhm.
that you can see so much discord because our bodies, after a while, are waiting for the other foot to fall. And
Right.
we have to kind of like just slow it down.
Mhm.
You find yourself, I mean, and listen to yourself because there have been times when I have found myself breathing very heavily and I wasn't aware.
Mhm.
I wasn't aware that I was in that flight or fight.
Mhm. Awareness is key.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mhm.
It's we hold our breath when we're not at peace, and then we make decisions with our bodies not as oxygenated as it should be. And so then you wonder, well, what happened? Okay, you weren't breathing.
Well, that's
You
right.
weren't,
We're inhibiting the flow in
we
so
are.
many ways, whether it's breath, but that's inhibiting the flow of peace if we're tense. I'm so glad you talked about
And the
that.
thing is that we don't pay attention to the truth that most of our communication is nonverbal. So you can walk into a room and you can feel the tension, you can feel the stress, and if you stay in that room long enough, you'll find yourself matching what is going on in that room. And
Mhm.
so it's like, no, you have to just kind of stop and say, no, this is not my truth. That's not what I came here to do, whether it's in that room or it's in life,
Mhm.
and there a lot of this walk is you run into people along the way. I call these people my tribes people. I run into them, but a lot of it I walk alone. And so when I run into my tribesmen, there's great joy in seeing them, catching up, listening. But I also had to learn that, when I was a child, I got a new meaning. My parents used to tell us when you go to people's home, don't pick up their things. And I grew up as a child, from childhood thinking that meant don't steal, which is true too. But we pick up other people's things along the way, and then we think that they're ours, and then it's like you're struggling and put down things that aren't yours.
Oh, that's,
Now,
and you're talking in a spiritual sense, and mhm.
put
Because not pick up their negative outlook.
whatever it is. I mean, and
Mhm.
sometimes it could be as subtle as false beliefs about yourself.
Mhm.
Okay,
Oh,
because
very
if,
good.
if you look at children, I had an experience many years ago when my younger son was about 8 or 9. I came home and there was a little boy at my house with him, and came home from work, and I'm like, "Who's this little boy?" So he tells me he's in his class. 8 o'clock comes and the little boy is still at my house,
Mm.
and I'm like, "Okay, where are your parents?" And I ended up taking him because at that point I was living in an apartment and he lived in the complex with me. I took him to his home, and the lights were on, but the door was locked and nobody was there. I ended up having that little boy spend the night with me.
Mhm.
Nobody came to claim that little boy. I fed him, I dressed him, I sent him to school the next day. And then I called the school to tell them what had happened. And they said, "Oh, well, the police just took him away." And I said, "Why?" And they said he was a runaway. I said, "He didn't run away. No one came to pick him up. He was at my house the whole night." But
Mhm.
the thing about that little boy is he told me that his parents were having problems and it was his fault. How can you, as an 8-year-old child, be at fault for your
Mhm.
parents' mismanagement of whatever it was going?
Mhm.
But we can't
Mhm.
do that. Somehow we pick up,
Oh.
feel responsible,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
as children, that might be part of the coping mechanism for children. But some of us
Mhm.
are, I've kind of laughed about it because we grow and we exceed the maximum child height, but we're still carrying the wounds of
Oh,
and that little child
that's
within
so
us
good. Mm-hmm.
That little child within us is still
Oh,
engaged.
yes. Profound example there. And it's something to think about. What have I picked up? What have I, or what am I picking up? And that is, and noticing that and being aware of that is all part of that awareness. And that's part of that, how we are peaceful, how we feel peaceful, and how we express peace. And I'm going to ask you to back up just a little bit because your name, there we go. Oh, yes, lovely. Because your name on the, yes. Oh, there we go.
Back a little. Okay.
There we go. But those are such, see, these are the subtle things that we're talking about that make a difference. The awareness and again, that childhood lesson about what we pick up. And the example of the little boy, I think it's something to reflect upon. And that self-awareness. And that's something that you talk about a lot, self-awareness.
Yeah. We don't, this is our home, our bodies. Okay. And it's kind of like our car that we drive around in life. We need to have these bodies on this plane. And these bodies are communicating all the time. And either we hear it and correct, or, it gets to be where the body is screaming and then the body is using the spiritual 2x4 on itself because
yes.
It's like, I told you when it was this, you should have paid attention. Now it's this bigger thing. And so a lot of that, we just have to take the time. There are people who meditate, people who do yoga, people who garden, whatever it is. And that's the thing. There isn't just one thing. It's all things that that bring you joy, that bring you peace, that bring you restoration, that bring going to bed early. We stay up ungodly hours. I don't know what for. And then you got to wake up very, very early, and then you got to go. And some people are running on the not just fumes, but the memory of fumes. And when we are stressed like that, we are suppressing. We have closed the door.
That's right. That's right. We're suppressing. Close the door.
We've closed the door because all of that is like spirit wants to say yes. Spirit wants to just give us the kingdom, so to speak. And
excuse me, I'm so glad you said that because you're reminding me. Sometimes my daughter, and about my daughter Rosalie, she's 17. Every once in a while, after when it's been particularly busy, she'll say, "Mom, my social battery is full. I need some quiet time." And that says so much. And that happens in our world. It is that whatever it is, if it's gardening or just some time for quiet. And as you have said before, making room in us for peace to grow. And so, but I wanted to make sure to share that because it's so profound what you're saying. And it's so profound.
When my children were little and I have two children. Well, I have two sons. Okay. They're not children anymore. I have two sons. So when they were children, there were times when I would just kind of sit and it looked like I was vegging out. And they would, "Mom, are you okay?" "Yeah, you're not talking." "I'm okay though." And it was just, I needed to take a few minutes. And I think that the more you have that as a practice, the more attuned to it you become, because you become more aware. And I can tell when I may have been in a conversation or in a place and it's like, okay, I need to sit down for a minute to just kind of get my head back on right before I go off and pick up the next project. And I don't think that, for myself, I don't apologize for taking that time. That's one of the ways that, my goal is to show up as the best version of me. Okay. Showing up as the best version of me comes about from me loving me. I can be peace. I can be loving when I have these things within me. And that's what I'm
Well, that's right. And then when we're quiet, because you were talking earlier about the ideas from spirit, the intuition, that, sometimes things can come to us when it's noisy and so forth, but it's helpful when we have that quiet time for ideas to come to us, ideas to be as you said, the best version of ourselves. And being the best version of ourselves, that inspires peace within and in our world.
And it also gives other people permission to bring out
Yes.
their best. Sometimes people will say things and I'm like, I didn't know, I didn't know that. I wasn't aware of that, but it made a difference to them. I remember again, back to my children in the mornings leaving. I worked in corporate America for a long time. I'm presently in Georgia, and I transferred from New York to Georgia on a corporate transfer. And I had my two sons who, that's when the children want to go do this one last thing, and I'm trying to get them out the door. So I always felt like when we were leaving that I was like a crazy person. Come on, if you don't have it right there, I asked you to put it by the door last night. You didn't. Can't run back in. And one day this lady, I had lived there for quite a while, and she came to me. She said, "You inspired me so much." And I was like, "Really?" She said, "I just love the way you are with your sons in the morning when you're leaving."
Oh.
Really, I mean, it was like any other time if you had said, we're doing this, then I could kind of go like, okay, well, thank you. But it was just, it was the care. It was the care that, and I'm feeling I don't want to be late for work. Come on and care. And I guess, when I think of, I talk with my children now, and when your children get old enough that you can have a conversation where they tell you how they experienced you. Sometimes I went, really? Or, you know what, I'm sorry, I didn't really, that wasn't what. But it's just having relationships that are healthy.
Yes. No, that's right. That's right. And before we continue here, I want to thank Wayne Baldwin, who's joining us from Calgary. Thank you. And I'm grateful for what we're talking about here, and the indwelling Christ everywhere. That's so, this is interesting. Indwelling Christ everywhere. Oh, another way of thinking of the term ICE, indwelling Christ everywhere. Thank you. Thank you. For pointing that out, and he's enjoying our dialogue here. So I wanted to make sure to recognize Wayne here and about it's all energy. That energy.
I had another thing that showed up for me in my journey. People speak about other people doing this, that, or the other, but I began to recognize that I was a magnet because it's energy exchange. So when I see magnets showing up in my life, I would say, okay, so what am I thinking? What am I thinking that makes this a comfortable place for that thought pattern to try to take root? And so a lot of times for me, it meant more time in treatment, more time in prayer. I've always been a praying person. I made it through my childhood experiences on prayer, other people as well as myself. And I am really very, very happy because becoming a minister, and we all can see certain things. You're born with a ministry. You're born as a minister, but I know you have to do certain things and get certain letters so that you can say that you are. But I don't think that those courses make you. You have that within you.
It brings it out. It brings it out. The coursework.
It's kind of like how we say there's some people who seem to be very, very peaceful naturally. No one taught them that. They didn't go anywhere to get, classes. That's like the things that happen in life strengthen those qualities, and they operate from those qualities, and they learn as a result. It's just been wonderful. My birthday's next month, and I am still marveling. Okay, I am still marveling, but I know that there's been something here that has always had me looking for what can I learn from this,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And
Mm-hmm.
if you can be less of a victim, then you can have more peace.
Ah, oh, there we go. There we
Because
go.
we all get things that are dealt to us, and I would say everything that I have experienced has brought me to this point. Would I want to have all those experiences again? Oh no. But i've taken I've taken something good, um even love. I had a really, really rough time with my father, and my father passed away about 5 years ago, and he would be approaching 100 at this point, where he's still here. And I had this story about my father, and it just came to me last year. You know, my dad did the best that he knew how.
Oh,
It may
it's a
not have,
powerful recognition.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it may not have been all good, but he did the best.
Mm-hmm.
And I grew up in a family. There are close to 20 children in my between my two parents, and my father worked at the post office. I went to private school. And I never thought about that. I went to private school. I went to college. I went to an Ivy League school I graduated from. And it came to me a year ago. Well, how did all of that happen if your dad was so inadequate? And it was like, wow. I just said, forgive me. It's kind of
Oh,
like the words of, I know we don't do crucifixion and that kind of stuff, but I read the Bible. And the words that say, forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do.
oh, that's powerful. It's a powerful idea for our spiritual growth. What a powerful recognition um, of seeing that in another, and that is part of peace.
It
That is
is.
part of
It is.
feeling peace and then being peace. To do that, to know that, and to feel that. That's all part of your feeling that you are now and that you emanate. It. Mhm.
Right. When I finally said, yes, I am a minister and I'm going to go with it, Spirit said to me, so what are you going to do about your dad? We hadn't spoken in 35 years at that point.
Oh, mhm.
And it was like, you can't teach what you don't know. You can't you can't lead where you've never been. And
Mhm.
I basically said, Spirit, I don't know how to do that.
Mhm.
Bring it to you. And when it's time for me to step back in, let me know. I did not want my parents to leave this earth with us having any angst between us.
Ah.
My
Mhm.
mother's still alive, okay, but my dad,
Mhm.
he and I, and it was only Spirit with me being obedient. And
Mhm.
I think that there is peace in being anchored in the knowing that you know that Spirit is everything that there is, the only thing that there is.
Yes.
Because there's a lot that you can just release at that point.
Mhm.
And even when we remember too that there's a spiritual undercurrent to everything that is going on,
Mhm.
then we can turn to the spiritual level to seek restitution or restoration,
Mhm.
because sometimes it doesn't make sense on this plane, but
Right.
we know that Spirit is all knowing, the mind, and we can go there to anchor ourselves until we can see whatever it is that is going to be manifested. Because we talked about the root, and there's a lot going on under the soil, in the soil,
Oh.
a lot. And to go back to that analogy, trees, we see the trees and everything that is above the ground, and it's beautiful. You don't ever see the roots, but under the root,
Oh.
there's a community. There is
There is.
okay.
Oh, there is.
These
Oh
roots
my goodness.
have reached out and they hold on to each other and they communicate. And so nature becomes a very, very good model for us
Mhm.
if we want to look at to see what peace is like. Yeah, we have hurricanes
Oh.
and everything, but you have trees that survive multiple hurricanes, multiple
Yes.
storms,
Mm-hmm.
and we have that same capability within
Mm-hmm.
ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
But we,
Well,
we,
that's
we
right.
can only access that in the indwelling, not the stuff out here. It's
Mm-hmm.
you know,
What you don't see, like the trees. It's what you don't see there that oh is
people look at you and they go, "Oh my goodness," but they don't see what you went through to get to the place where
mm-hmm.
you look the way that
Mm-hmm.
they think that you look.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh.
so really, it's to always be supportive of people in their good.
Mm-hmm.
You always say, "Hinder no man on his path."
Oh,
Okay,
that's
and
beautiful.
the Buddhist, I'm sorry, not the Hindus. The Buddhist, that's a Buddhist word.
Mm-hmm.
Hinder
Mm-hmm.
no man on his journey. If you can't help, step out the way.
Oh, there we go. It's that honoring of people on who they are and hinder no man on his journey. And we may be there to or there for love and support, but there's a lot to that. And
Yes,
that whole idea of hindering, we don't want to hinder ourselves. We don't want to hinder others. It's that movement of life. And I'm glad that you mentioned the continuity of life, because when we talk about oneness and the ever presence of spirit, that is in
yeah.
all. And so when that love and peace that you feel about your father, there's that always connection, always in the continuity of life. And that, I'm so glad that you're bringing these things up about what we don't see and the importance of that
But
to
I
be
think
for
sometimes
peace.
we don't see the importance. I recall one time I was getting on an elevator and two young girls ran ahead, jumped into the elevator, and stuck there. Come on, grandma! Okay. So then we look, and here is an elderly lady walking very, very slowly, doing the best that she can.
Mm-hmm.
Two granddaughters are totally clueless. I said, "Listen, that's your grandmother." They said, "Yes." I said, "Don't talk to her. Help her. Your grandmother has done and seen so much. She's earned the right to walk slowly."
Oh.
Okay. It's like, and they kind of looked at me. But I also grew up in a culture where that's what older people did. You spoke to the younger ones, you advised them, you told them of whatever it was. I mean, they'd been here before and for a long time. And we're in a culture where you got to be young and you don't know anything when you're young. I know that you're young when you think you know everything. When you get to that point of wisdom, you know that what you know is but like 3 drops of sand
Mhm.
in the whole world of sand.
Mhm.
Because
Mhm.
the knowledge is infinite, the wisdom is infinite. And so we need a community to help us, to remind us, and to practice, to a place where you can be without judgment.
Ah.
Okay,
Oh.
you can, because really it's not mistakes that we're doing, we're learning.
Mm-hmm.
We're learning,
Oh.
trying.
Oh, that's right. And that's very important and very powerful, without judgment, because there's a lot of that going on in our world. And that, oh my, without judgment of ourselves and of others. Oh my goodness.
Remember too, judgment of yourself is something that you learn. You look at little children, they are free. They, you know, they learn to be self-conscious. I was watching something yesterday, and a lady had a little 4-month-old daughter, and she had the little girl leaning against her, and the little 4-month-old girl sat up, and her mother said, "Where did you learn that? You're not supposed to do that." And I'm screaming, if she did it, then she's supposed to do
Oh, right.
it. And that's one of those unconscious.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times we do things with our children because we love them and we want the best, but we're also scared. And that could, being afraid, having fear clouds your judgment.
Well, it does. It does. And it's so, all these things that you're talking about are so important. And so, and this awareness, being awareness of fear and judgment. And we actually are coming to the end of the program here, so we're going to have to do this again. But I'm so glad you brought up some very powerful things about awareness and reminder that being peace, it is about looking, it's about listening, it's about respecting ourselves and others, and really understanding who we are. And that, again, awareness and not judging, and what seeds are we planting, and what stories have we learned, and opening up and listening and taking the time and the quiet time to do that. And even if you aren't someone who practices or just learning about meditation, that's okay. Quiet time. Yes, quiet time. And these are powerful spiritual practices that make a difference. And
I grew up in the Catholic Church. I grew up in the traditional Christian, but I had my questions and challenges. So the 10 Commandments, really, there's a place where the master teacher is asked about them. He said, there are really only 2. One, love the Lord your God. I mean, use the Lord, but to love spirit with all your heart, your mind, and your soul. And then to treat others as you would want to be treated. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the ways that we live in peace, because then everybody is a friend.
Mm-hmm.
It's a friend because you've started the friendship. You've started the respect. You've started, the whole love flow. And that's because that's how you would want to be treated.
Oh,
but thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. This has been so inspiring. And Wayne has stayed with us all the way. And he, Wayne from Calgary. So thank you for joining us. We appreciate that. And he appreciates the dialogue here. And so we are grateful that you have joined us. Thank you so much. Oh, Reverend Ifesinachi Naana, thank you.
My pleasure.
We'll do this again.
Yes. Different topic. A different perspective is what it is. But we can't talk too much about peace and doing the peaceful thing.
That's right. So thank you. And until the next time, peace and blessings.
Yes.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here and taking this time to practice peace with us. Join us again next week, Thursdays at 9 a.m. on the New Thought Media Network for another live session. And you can always catch past episodes on our YouTube channel. Until then, sending you waves of peace and blessings. We'll see you next time.